Good news, everybody. Dax finally has agency in an episode. It's just not one about her. Here on V'ger Please, a file visit to Bajor. My name is Joseph.
This summer's blockbuster movie coming down from director Steven Spielberg, Jadzia Dax and the Temple of Dumb. I can't wait. I'm your co-host, Peter.
Before we get into the episode, I did want to do just another moment of as we record the fall of the Kurtzman Trek era. I'm taking particular delight this week in seeing that the existing sets for Starfleet Academy and Strange New Worlds have been dismantled and will be sold off. And I'm taking delight in that because Kurtzman is still technically under contract. And there's been disagreement in the Discord as if this was a purposeful sign of disrespect, but I think it is. That they didn't even give him the dignity of firing him before they started taking away all of the things related to the production of his television shows.
I'm not following this stuff because I just don't care anymore. I don't want to say I've been blackpilled, but I resigned to quit caring about modern Trek with the retirement, with the final season of Lower Decks. And I guess Lower Decks kind of got off easy because they closed down on their own timeline. I think there was still gas in the tank. I think they put some good content out there. I understand your criticisms. And at the time, it was sad that they weren't going to get more, but better for them to go out with a intended ending than, hey, we thought we were going to get more, and instead Skydance is dumping us. But just a little bit that I am, and I will give Skydance Trek a fair shake.
But once it actually comes forward,
Till then, it's just not worth my time. I'm so chin deep in the world of Fallout 4. I've got a lot of good Star Trek content. Man, again, Across the Unknown, Star Trek Voyager was great. And of course, I've got Deep Space Nine. I don't care about what's on TV right now. There's great stuff in the past that I'm discovering for the first time, but
I'm too big a fan of Schadenfreude to look away at this man's slow humiliation in front of everyone. I enjoy that. I guess the bigger news is that...
Let me push back, though. Because is it trying to give him a black eye on the way out? Maybe. I think this is a business decision. I think the conversations that you and I have are not unique. I think that a lot of contempt for Kurtzman era Trek is widespread. Maybe not to the degree that you and I, living in the world of Star Trek every single week for the past, 8 years?
8.5 years, yeah.
Again, Discovery had come out and I gave it a fair shake. And it wasn't until really we started doing the podcast more and more and getting deeper into Berman era and reading Wikipedia. We got into the sphere, the nerd sphere, right?
Absolutely.
We're mainlining this stuff. And you and I have a level, even when prior to the podcast, I still knew a ton about Next Gen, but I wasn't in it. I wasn't getting my cockles up, So nobody likes this stuff. They have done bad damage to an evergreen brand.
Yes.
This is the jewel of CBS, Paramount, whatever you want to call it. That was their Star Wars. And they've damaged it. So I think that the destruction of the sets, I think that's a virtue signal to old Star Trek fans of, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're coming for you. Just hey, we get it. We get it. We understand. We don't want this either. Stuff's changing. There's just chill out. Stop.
We can't actually fire Alex Kurtzman. We have to just let the clock run out, but we can send every signal we possibly can that this is coming to an end. The other signal is that the Star Trek United show looks like it's actually going to happen. It's going to be the first thing out of the gate after the Kurtzman era wraps up so that they have something to do. Sussman has put all of the pieces together, evidently, to move it forward. I know you don't like the idea.
I hate the idea.
I think we could do a lot worse. I mean, there's just not a lot of people.
What a low bar. We have done a lot worse.
We have. This
I just
my expectations are very low, and so maybe, you know, I love Star Trek, and I want to see the rebuild happen, but the rebuild only happens if you use what you have available to you to get a heartbeat. This could be that. I think it really could. I think Sussman is a good Trek person. Like, he understands creatively what makes Trek work. I think that if they have a good plan for a limited series around this idea, it could deliver, especially because it's going to be, you know, not something left open-ended. You know, something structured could really fill the gap for a while.
Sussman is a good Trek resource. Enterprise characters are the wrong Trek entry. I maintain that. Again, the saving grace here would be a short Trek / limited engagement series, and I think that is the key to making me warm up to it. But we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it's all, there's more and more signs that, like, they have that ready and they can't talk about it until such time that Kurtzman is officially off the table.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of talk after there is an official announcement of Kurtzman being gone that, you know, there's plans for the future. There's still no specific news about who the new Lord of Trek will be. I think there's a lot of people vying for that because Ron Moore has not been particularly receptive to the idea. So, you know, and Sussman might be someone who wants that job.
So they're talking to Ron Moore?
Yes. So it's been the hot rumor for months now, is Ron Moore was directly approached by Skydance to say, would you be willing to showrun a new sort of front-running Star Trek show to kind of launch out of this Kurtzman era? And he countered with, I'm willing to be your Kevin Feige, but I don't want to actually do the show running anymore. And that evidently is like been a bone of contention. They feel like they need Ron Moore just direct involvement. They need him to write. They need him to direct. They need him to do the thing if they, you know, going to get the credibility back that they want. And he's just like, I've actually been doing this for 30 years, so I'm kind of tired. And, you know, I don't look it, but I've had enough. And
how do you feel about that?
I think Ron Moore is absolutely the best possible person available to them realistically to do that job. It is. I think Ron Moore...
How do you feel about... I mean, obviously Ron Moore... God, man, you know, disagree. We have seen what happens when Ron Moore doesn't have a boss.
That's true, but we've also never seen... Like, Ron Moore didn't have a boss. He was working with material he could do whatever he wanted with, and it kind of like... It started out structured, and then it just got wild at the end because he was so able to do whatever he wanted that he lost the plot of his own television program. Trek is something that is very structured, that he knows more about than most people that exist on the planet Earth. And those restraints might actually be enough to keep him on the rails.
I don't disagree with anybody for not wanting to take this job. You have a very rabid, radicalized, hyper-toxic fan base. And when I'm saying radicalized, hyper-toxic, like Kurtzman Trek turned us, you know, I would say I'm in that camp, turned us into these people with a plethora of reasons, right? You're not walking into this the way that Discovery did, where everybody's like, oh, goody, new content, arms open, let's do this. You're coming into a firing squad. And again, you know, we talked about this, I think, during Strange New Worlds. I don't know what I want out of a Star Trek TV show anymore. And the closest thing I can point to is the Orville towards the end. And can you get a studio to agree to make brightly lit, friendly space adventures with friends? I don't know. And that's what I want. Is that what you want? Is that what the people listening in their car or at home want? Like, it is such a fragmented fan base now that it's going to be so hard for anybody to succeed there. And that's all the big properties. That's Marvel. That's Star Wars.
Everyone's going to face this problem. You're absolutely right. Every single franchise has been so thoroughly degraded as a consequence of incompetent creative management that it's going to be tough for any of them to come back. But I think Trek showed how to do it already once before. When they brought TNG into existence, it felt like an evolution and continuation of what existed before in a way that ultimately did settle into its own new groove that worked. And I think if someone has that right feel for what that looks like, all sins can very quickly be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is an appetite. If someone's got the right idea for what this show would look like, but it's got to be something like none of this fucking 12 episode prestige television shit. All right. Be prepared to make 20 episodes of 45-minute space adventure programming.
With 45 minutes of people talking in a room.
Yes.
And a little bit of Starship CGI, maybe.
Just cut your own budgets down, hire good actors, and find someone who knows what to do with that. And if you're not getting Ron Moore, honestly, Brian Fuller, probably your next best choice. He was going to be the choice.
Fuller should have been your first choice, in my opinion.
I don't know. Maybe he's been burned once, so he doesn't want to come back and do it again. I don't know. Who like. But maybe there's someone out there who in Hollywood who's just a big Trek fan who understands this stuff that I'm not even thinking of, right? Like whoever that is. Honestly, like I wish. Yeah. Did you see the episode of the podcast he did with Frakes?
And yeah.
He really like. I love how like. Brent Spiner's like, hey, did you ever, you've hosted the Oscars, all these famous people, you're best friends with Charlize Theron. Is there anyone you've ever been starstruck meeting? He's like, yeah, just you guys. Like, just literally you and your next generation friends. That's it.
I got to go to a dinner with you guys and I was immediately awestruck and stammering, and Patrick Stewart noticed it and laughed at me for it.
Yeah.
I got nothing but respect for McFarlane, especially when it comes to sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, like maybe if you again, but that Seth MacFarlane is somebody who's so fat and happy, right? Like in terms of his career, that can you convince him to take on a rebuild project?
To go into the risk and take unlimited black eyes to try to pull this thing out of the gutter from where Kurtzman has intentionally steered it. There's a Mass Effect TV show being worked on in I think Amazon.
Yeah.
And I saw some clickbait headline that showrunners have gone back to the writing staff and said, make it more accessible to
non-gamers.
And it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
That is your audience. Who the fuck is going to watch a Mass Effect television program except people who loved playing Mass Effect? By the way, of which there are millions. Of which is that game is already cinematic in its nature. I too looked at that and said, like, what is your fucking problem? Who do you think this is for?
And Mass Effect, the generational successor spiritually to Star Trek Next Generation, okay?
Yeah.
I know why I liked it, and I know that you liked it. And I played the shit out of that game.
All three of them.
My visibility was always like cover-based shooter, Star Trek sci-fi adventure BioWare guys, right?
Correct.
The adoption of that game in girl gamer community, I was not prepared for, man. I started making new friends and talking, and like every single girl's like, oh, I played the shit out of that game.
My wife's one of them. Yeah.
Huge.
She played all the way through Andromeda. Even I couldn't do that.
I mean, and this isn't just like casual, like deep understanding of the plots, late game content, all this stuff. Like they have insight and stuff into like romantic options and stuff that like I didn't care about. I mean, I was there for Liara's ass or Miranda, but like this isn't okay. Star Trek's just for neckbeardy guys. Like Mass Effect has such widespread appeal, especially in the generation below ours, that you can absolutely custom tailor this TV show to stick explicitly to the Bible of the Mass Effect universe, and you are not going to miss a single viewer. My mom and dad aren't going to watch it.
They're going to watch it no matter what. And like you said, it is probably the only video game that I saw that really broke through with a multifaceted audience that had a lot of female players that really engaged with it. Like
Cyberpunk's there too, I think.
My wife is a selective gamer in terms of like the big AAA titles that she's willing to invest in, and Mass Effect is a series is the only one I think she's played more of than me. Like I said, she actually she couldn't stop playing Andromeda. It's like it was her Starfleet Academy. Like I have to see where this goes. I have to see us to the bitter end.
Respect.
And you're right. Like why it has all the pieces already there. I'll just deliver on it. Just put a little bit of cinematic polish on the package and deliver what's there. You've got 7 seasons worth of material between the 3 games and all the DLCs and everything else.
Unless you're writing script, like pages of script specifically about how grenades used to be bad, but then they got good.
Yes.
I'm going to stop right there because
or why in season 3 combat got a lot more smooth. You know,
why they don't have ejectable clips anymore, magazines, and now it's this heat base. Like, and I stopped saying that because I'm like, I would absolutely love it if you gave me a whole episode that was nothing about the Mako being difficult to drive and stranding people somewhere. Like, that's a great episode. Please, I would love that.
But aside from that, I think you can do all right with the material.
I'm saying you that would be prime material for me. I don't know what they're doing. This isn't going to be The Expanse. It needs to be Mass Effect, and I hope it's as good as can be. And here's the thing.
Did you see the Expanse video game that they're coming out for Outcasts? They look good. It looks good.
Listen, dude, I'm in Fallout 4, man. I'm trying to build settlements. I just hooked up with Paladin Dance. Synths are raining on him. I'm about to cook him. There's not an exploit, but he's invincible. So you can just fill this chest chamber with synth bodies. I'm going to go in and just loot 1 million energy cells and get all the Institute pistols and rifles. And it's going to be Christmas.
I found Fallout 4 lost its challenge about 2/3 of the way through when you finally have access to top level powered armor and you can just survive getting nuked with no problem. And it's just, okay, well, this game's over. Like, if I can tank the biggest hit in the game and it's like barely an inconvenience and I have unlimited power cells with which to power this armor from this point forward, then really I'm just going through the motions.
Interesting. I'll have to hit you up on where to get those unlimited fusion cores from.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about something.
Do we have to?
Yes. We are obligated by the format that we've selected to talk about this week's episode of Deep Space Nine.
By the agreement.
What is it?
Sword of Khaless, Season 4, Episode 9. And just in case anybody was wondering, the last episode we watched was Little Green Men, which I did not like at all. So this is a rough patch for me. Story by Richard Danis. Teleplay by Hans Beimer. Directed by LeVar Burton. First aired November 20th, 1995.
I feel like this episode could have been so much better if there had just been some work put in with Core and the sword and this whole idea before this episode. I'm a big Core fan. I like the idea of bringing in a literal TOS era Klingon played by his TOS era actor who's much more like Shakespearean and big and kind of almost mythological in being, and him partnering with Worf on an adventure. Because we discussed as we did all of those Worf episodes, Worf has a very naive, almost childlike wonder as it relates to Klingon history and mythology. He's much more spiritual. He has religious experiences with it. So Core is like a great character to partner him with, because Core is more like the kind of Klingon that Worf idolizes. All of that's a great idea. And then like, okay, let's do Indiana Jones style adventure as they go on a quest to try and like tie up some of these backstory elements, bring Dax into it. Like, these ideas are good, but trying to like slam it all into this 145-minute episode makes it so none of it works correctly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trying to tie up the Duras stuff at the same time.
Awful.
You just leave yourself no opportunity to make the parts of this that could be good actually function correctly, and so it falls apart in the execution.
I want to look at Core and Worf because they are different sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Right? And that coin is anti-Gowron, anti-Cardassian war currency. One side you got Worf and everything he is in terms of this idealized Klingon mythical behavior model, right? And then on the other end, you've got this guy who has just been around the block 1,000,000 times, is a renowned warrior, and has transcended being, like, he's gotten over himself, right? This guy's got a sense of humor. This guy doesn't take himself seriously, but he does take things seriously. And he's got serious personal flaws that really undermine everything. And we talked heavily about this guy back in Blood Oath. taking Worf out of All Good Things at the end, where we have Governor Worf. We've got Worf that has a lot of mileage. We've got Worf that has dealt with a lot of Klingon bullshit, and he's over it, and he has been broken of his notions and ideals. How close do you think that version of Governor Worf is to Core here? Are they still on the same coin, or do you think that version of Worf has nothing to do with this guy?
I think it's not quite is Worf destined to become more like Core. Core works for me as a character partnered with Worf because Worf again, going back to some of the things we saw going all the way back to Sins of the Father, Duras related drama, which is obviously like the last element of that showing up finally. It doesn't really have a solid resolution, but it's the last time we see anything of it. And then Ultimate Redemption parts 1 and 2. And like what War struggles with is I have an idea of what Klingons are like. I have an idea of what Klingon mythology says about my people. He speaks, I think, at length, and probably the best scene in the episode, about how, he visited Kronos and he tried to, be part of this society, and he was shunned and then had this other experience as a consequence. And to him, like, Core is the ultimate of what he thinks a Klingon should be, right? An honored Dahar master, someone who has, done all of the legendary things and tells the legendary tales. So much so that at the beginning of the episode, Worf does not feel worthy to address him. And then ultimately, like, Core comes to him and it says, no, you are exactly worthy to come with me on this quest. It's everything he wants, right? It's we know, like, oh, this is perfect for him. This is exactly what he would want to hear from exactly this person, that he is actually the paragon of Klingon life that he thinks that he is. And it's not so much that he turns into Core, it's that it's just another part of him learning, like, I need to have an adult understanding of my people. I need to get over my idealism of them. And that's actually one of the best plot points of the whole series after he joins is, I don't think I'm spoiling too much. By the end, that actually is what happens. And it takes a lot, but he gets there. And, his ending to his character as it relates in Deep Space Nine, I think, is perfect because of that. And it's not that he goes down the pathway of Governor Worf from All Good Things. I think that was more of a cautionary tale of like what happened between him and Riker and how like his personal relationships between him and his best friend and them competing over a woman ultimately resulted in him, becoming cold and, turning to the Empire and becoming a different person. That's not the path he's on here. This is him still trying to mature himself as it relates to his Klingon self. And it's all, I love that shit, and it's in here. And then there's just this goofy ass plot where they're arguing over this sword. They're escalating this conflict over the sword, and there's just not enough, like, there's not enough material to like make it make sense that they are going to be in conflict.
Such a rewrite that's just sitting on the table, and I don't know when to play the card on it. But right now, I want to talk about Klingons and the interesting part of them for me, as this conversation's kind of shown us. The best part, one of the best parts of Enterprise for me was looking at pre-Federation Vulcan, which was not it's
not a complete species, is the way you put it. They weren't finished. Yeah. And we
deep
found out
flaws, why. Corrupt. It was the Romulans. It's always the Romulans. And that joining the Federation made them whole. The Klingons, there's no happy, good old Klingons. There's young and dumb, excitable Klingons. And then we've got Governor Worf, who is miserable. We've got this guy, and he is deeply jaded, I would say. Right, Core?
Right, yeah.
You had his other two guys, and there was the one who was like the captain of the ship that died. And again, fuck Blood episode. It was such a weak-ass episode. And
I loved it, but yeah, Kang and Koloff are his homies than what you're referring to. Kang was the one that was the more in charge of the three.
He, I think, is the closest you can get to there being an elder Klingon who is like reasonably well-balanced and happy and functional.
Yeah, and Kang was a great character as he was presented in that episode because you saw, I think I said it when we reviewed it, you could see through his characterization the old school Klingon ethos, warrior ethos, and how it worked, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you've got these young, dumb, hot-blooded idiots that really want to charge after battle. And this is somebody who comes from this era of we were more ordered, we were more structured. It's
less
not that
corrupt.
we're less corrupt, more learned, and this is a generation of Klingons that's passing much in the same way, like I've argued, where all of the decades of peace made the Federation weak to the concept of war in a way that, like, once war happened, there was no living memory of fighting one anymore, and that's part of the whole Dominion War story. In the same way, the Klingons also had their generations that were used to not just battle, like they're used to fighting, but are used to organizing and maintaining an empire in a way that, like, makes sense, that governed themselves better, have left. And that's Worf's damage, is that he's kind of like the last one, because he was never part of the empire and was never corrupted by it. And so he's not, and that's why he struggles every time he encounters it, like, why the fuck are you this way? This makes no fucking sense.
So, as V'ger Please goes, in our interest in Klingons, Enterprise was a Klingon story about a falling empire.
Yeah.
And Berman era is a fallen I wouldn't say it's fully fallen, but it's an empire that has fallen to corruption. And that's the thread through all of this, all of the Klingon High Council shit we've seen. And I think why all of these elder Klingons were exposed to have gray hair are so fatigued and burned out. It's because the corruption has just worn them down, and the good ones cannot be around the stuff. They exist as fringe elements of the society. The Klingon path to happiness, I think, on a long enough timeline of Berman era, has to be a integration into the Federation. Like, these guys are not going to be able to find happiness in the Empire. The Empire needs to dissolve, and they need to join.
Just join the Federation.
Join the Federation. Maintain some sort of identity in there, but just be able to finally divorce itself. Kronos needs to be able to divorce itself from the corruption.
You have a pre-essence. Obviously, do they join the Federation? No. But you have a pre-essence as it relates to, I think, the story that is going to get told. I'll leave it there because it's really good, as the Klingons have to confront those questions for themselves as to our leadership and what we've allowed to happen. And I think there's all the stuff that's in this episode that I really like. I really like a lot of what Worf monologues about. I like what Kor monologues about. I love his character. But the choice of doing all of this stuff in this goofy Indiana Jones style treasure hunt adventure was the wrong one. Made on
a shoestring budget.
Yeah, let's just get into the hell caves and just have fight scenes, I guess. Just wasn't great. Wasn't the right choice. I also think Dax is really good in this episode. I think you leverage Dax's relationship with Kor as blood brother, as is often said, and the fact that Dax is attracted to Worf, and Worf likewise is attracted to her, and she has this affinity for Klingon culture, and that
they're both Starfleet with Federation values,
and that she is attempting to moderate the two of them to, like, that all works too as an idea, but his implementation sucks, and it sucks because you are trying to do too much too fast using a goofy MacGuffin like the Sword of Khaless to do something that deserves more nuance and time. Like, this should have been like a plot that played out over several episodes.
This not is because several B plots.
Yeah. This is something that should have been a side story that was Worf's focus this season, where Kor showed up at different times, and like the two of them and Dax were working on, maybe it is to find this, maybe it's some other sort of resolving, like, the political problems of the Empire, or dealing with their outcast status or what have you. But just like jamming it all into one episode and putting it into the context of this fucking hunt for a MacGuffin was stupid. It's stupid, and it makes all of the good stuff not matter.
Something we got to keep coming back to. When you fail to execute well on what could be good stuff, not only are you giving a subpar story in the moment, but you are ruining any future potential to tell that story the right way. And that's a painful point with Trek. You get one shot to tell the story, and it's very difficult to circle back around and fix that. Speaking of stories, we open up in Quark's bar, and Quark has most of the main cast assembled around him. He's drunk. He's going on and on. Odo's there listening. Maybe Odo's just waiting for the point where he's going to have to fucking lock his ass up again. Although he didn't know he was the Darhar master or whatever back then.
Correct.
And the best part of that was like, everybody's like, this is a bullshit story. And it's O'Brien like, yeah, who cares though? He's telling it good. Like there's an entertainment value in this.
Side note that I want us to continue to pay attention to because I keep saying it. Do you see the fucking smile that Kira has for O'Brien after he says that? Those two flirt all the time on screen. They do. And I think it's intentional because these are the two warriors in the group, right? And like Kira is a little bit more, I want to say like practical. Psychotic. She's more like I see violence as a tool and I don't see much like romanticism in it. But O'Brien is definitely someone who still sees romanticism in it, which is why he likes the story. And when he says that, like Kira looks at him just gives him the smile of like, yeah, I like you. And it goes all the way back to when they went to raid the prison camp together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like where they were like, I know what I'm getting yourself signed up for. This is we don't come back from this mission. I'm in it to win it. Let's do this, Kira. That's why Cisco sent me, because I'm the dude who's willing to do that.
That is a Wookiee life boon that Kira owes O'Brien.
I think these two are into each other and they play it very subtly because, I don't think it's ever going to be a major plot point, but if I ever recall correctly, but it's still an obvious line there of the two. Actually, you know what? Come to mind. You know what? Never mind. I take it back. It does. All right. I'm done spoiling. Okay.
What does Prime Universe O'Brien get to encounter?
You'll see. I think it happens this season. Never mind. I'm going to shut the fuck up. We're moving on.
One of the standout points of that story, too, is the part where Quark starts talking about the three of his friends indulging in cannibalism.
Yeah, eating the heart of their enemy.
Again, the Federation does not have the stomach for real meat, and when people have to eat real meat, it's a big fucking deal. The Federation has moved beyond
slaughtering animals.
Slaughtering animals, and they eat fake synth beef or whatever. So, like, not only are you eating real meat, but you are cutting a sentient thing open and consuming its flesh. Like, I think the Klingons need to get a little bit more shit about that. Hey, Quark, come on over here. I want to introduce you to my buddy Worf. He's good. And Worf's apprehensive because, like, hey, I'm persona non grata and I've taken some big stances. I like this guy. He's my hero. I had his action figure. Yep. I don't want to have him come over here and tell me I'm a Patak, right? And that's what Quark does come from. The traitor, the idiot, the all sorts of nasty things. Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you. Any enemy of Gowron.
People. I like you.
Any enemy of Gowron and the High Council is a friend of mine. And that is really, again, going back to the death of Kimpek and the difficulty that Gowron had in taking over. Like, Duras was a rotten, dirty piece of shit. And that's what we focus on as an audience, is that, like, clearly Duras cannot be the next guy. But, like, Gowron was never a popular choice. And it only took someone as rotten and shit as Duras to give Gowron the opportunity to sit down, to even be able to walk towards the throne. And it took Picard helping him out for him to be able to sit on it. This is Worf's brother. What's his name?
Oh Jesus.
Tiny.
It's played by
young Jake old Jake Sisko.
Old Jake Sisko.
Whatever.
Oh, God.
Car. I don't know. But
Kern.
Kern and the people that were loyal to Kern, they didn't like Gowron. Fucking, Superman over here, everybody's old favorite grandpa, he doesn't like it. Like, there's a lot of people that do not like Gowron for many different reasons. You don't like him in the High Council. I don't agree with the war. Hey, we can be friends. And I'll tell you what, once you know it, this is going to be a Lord of the Rings episode, because we're going to do a quest.
We sure are. Kor dramatically brings Worf into the fold. They have something that Dax has to do some science on to verify that it's true. But the story we ultimately get when Sisko's one scene while he's shaving with his sonic shaving device.
That is a rubber self-retracting stamp, by the way. I bought those off of Amazon. I use them for the date. That is ridiculous real world stuff. Let's not skip over the part where, hey, remember that terrible Bashir Herman's Head episode with Nightmare Face?
Yes.
That when they brain shock people, it is an entire episode worth of "oh my god, I'm dying" plot. And he jumps Kor and brain shocks the fuck out of him.
Yeah, they're called Lethians. And yeah, apparently if it hits Bashir, it's a whole episode. If it hits Kor, it's a bag and head hangover. Klingons, I guess, are resistant to their superpowers, I suppose.
So maybe? Let's bullshit ourselves here and say that the intention for this guy wasn't to kill him, and that these guys can, in fact, intrude the thoughts of their victims and actively telepathically extract information. And that's what happened, because that seems to me like, okay, Duras, I'm Duras's henchman. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to telepathy the stuff out that I need. And for some reason also keep you alive. When he drops the fucking Total Recall line, open your mind. The only other thing I can think of off the top of my head that is as ugly as the Lethian's face is like the chest mutant Siamese twin baby from Total Recall. Open your mind, Kor. Open your mind.
When they talk to Sisko, this is the plot. The Sword of Khaless belonged to the Emperor, back in the 9th century BC or whatever, when he existed originally. Mm-hmm. And it was stolen by this cadre of species called the Herc when they came and raided Klingon space. Anything they couldn't burn down, they burnt down. And they took the Sword of Khaless. It's been lost ever since. However, there were some Vulcans who were poking around mining in the Gamma Quadrant, which seems like a risky fucking business these days.
I mean, really.
But Kor, who was at the time the Klingon ambassador to Vulcan, which again, makes sense for somebody who's kind of over his military career and an untouchable political person. You're like, what can we give you that's a job that's suitable for you, but also keeps you out of things? We're going to make you the
also
ambassador to Vulcan.
Taking all of his behavior at face value, this guy is the most human Klingon in existence, because he's from a time when the Klingons just used to be kind of Russians.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, you're going to interface better with the Vulcans than most of our other people. There is nobody else that I can think of that has been as chill and laid back of a Klingon as this guy. That's a full-blood Klingon anyways.
And so when this survey team found this item, he was privy to being able to get his hands on it because he was the ambassador to Vulcan. And sure enough, Dax has analyzed it. It has Herc DNA on it. It is from the right time period. This thing definitely had the Sword of Khaless in it. And they are asking for a runabout from Sisko to go into the Gamma Quadrant and explore the ruins that the Vulcans had originally founded it. Which, if you're Sisko, is well, this is definitely not the worst ask I've ever had for a runabout. I remember when I was drinking my coffee and fucking Kira asked to go do some Black Ops terrors in a company car. You guys are just wanting to go do a Star Trek episode. I guess I'll allow it.
Out of curiosity, guys, how many people that we are currently at odds with politically do you plan on murdering?
Yeah. Is it less than 5? If so, fine.
Is it more than 0? I mean, we don't expect to see any Cardassians or Klingons there, but yeah, if there's Cardassians or Klingons there, we're absolutely going to cut them. They want to tell this Lord of the Rings story. I get it. This little 3-man adventuring party, but come on, man, you're Sisko. Hey, one of the biggest problems you have right now is the antagonism that you're suffering with the Klingons, and this is a big fucking deal. This was a whole really cool plot arc earlier that is still going on. And you've got a chance to really wrestle control of the situation and swing things into your favor. Do you A, let a 3-man party with these company minivans go out and do it? Or do you go, you know what? I'm going to help you. We're going to take the Defiant to go into the Gamma Quadrant, and you're going to have all of Starfleet's backing to get this incredible once-in-a-generation bargaining chip that will help us unfuck our alliance with the Klingons. And don't tell me like, oh, it's a flimsy bridge. We don't look at all the other stuff he has sent the Defiant out to do with a full crew complement.
Yeah, this.
What a wrong time to send a runabout.
What a wrong time to like hold back on your resources. They even like say like, well, this would be a big deal. We could get it back. We could give it to the Emperor. I really like the continue evocation of the Emperor and where he came from, that he's a clone of original Kahless, that he's this sort of figurehead. And then like there's this whole opportunity to sort of swing the Klingons back their way if Worf and Kor of all people are the ones that are able, and Dax are the ones who are able to bring this sword back. They say all of that, and I think you have a good point. Like this seems Defiant worthy. This seems like you should bring. This could really solve some of your problems. So you should have maybe invested more resources in it.
Guys, I'd love to give you the Defiant, but unfortunately, it killed another 2 people with that warp core, and it is on lockout tagout right now. We cannot.
So we're working on the danger room a little bit. It did have a bunch of plasma fissures open up in it recently. It's just not. It's
we
not
weren't
ready
even
yet.
Flying. It just happened. We are confident this thing is possessed and or haunted. So they end up at this planet. Do we ever get to see any of the Huck? Because like, what a cool.
Yeah, the Herc. No, we never see them. I like their idea of them, but we never see them.
Like these guys, and I mean, I don't know where Voyager's at, but like it really seems like that should have been Hirogen.
That makes sense. Like they would have been Hirogen if you really think about it. A galaxy spanning hunter culture that had like a way to travel and communicate that went beyond normal technology, so that makes sense. The swords in the Gamma Quadrant,
and could give the Klingons a legit run for their money.
Yeah.
Did the Klingons get
diminished / gone? And unexplainably.
Did the Klingons get warp drive by looting it off of the Herc?
I believe so. Yes.
That's cool. So they get there and they beam down. Oh, luckily, again, the Romulan, the Vulcan mining group consortium or whatever, they fully mapped the whole planet out and did not stick around to do any additional science. They got a little bit of stuff and then they dipped. But hey, we've got full maps of the planet. Here's all the chambers and tunnels and blah, 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 blah. They beam down to the caves. And then we get into this force field nonsense where Dax, who works at Deep Sheets 9, figures out in 6 seconds how to get past a force field that an entire Vulcan geological survey team could not get around.
I mean, they just they had to reverse the polarity. It was the classic Voltaire bit right here. Reverse the polarity. Oh, it worked.
I don't like these episodes where it's like, here's a series of things and it's just the flimsiest.
Yeah. This is the shit that makes it not work, right? Like, it's like, this is very flimsy. This is just bullshit.
Hey, here's the data that I got from this geological survey team. There was a force field they couldn't get past. Dax, do you think this is something you could do? I don't know. I spent the past 2 days in the lab, and Julian and O'Brien, like, we put real resources. I'm confident we can do this. This wasn't 6 seconds with 2 fucking lawn darts, and now we've figured this out.
Yeah, a little too much. Again, they're trying to jam this into 45 minutes, so they're not allowing themselves the opportunity to make the plot actually work.
Then they get in. Oh my God, this place has been ransacked. Wouldn't you know? That sucks. And for a second there, I forgot about Murderface jumping Core and like mind probing. I'm like, oh, okay, that's right. There's other people working against him here. Well, how defeated, we don't, how are we ever going to track this thing down? This sucks. And then Worf, who is just wildly well known and famous for his amazing spot checks, it's like, I've detected a hidden door.
Are you an elf? Like, just incredible racial ability to detect the secret door.
That's exactly what the Klingons are known for. Their keen eyes. I could have gone from like, actually, you know what? Geordi always said to look out for these types of things. And wouldn't you know, here it is. Like, what a great shot.
Especially because LeVar is directing you. Like,
I know!
Why not throw it in,
Mm-hmm. Something I learned out in the Enterprise is always look along the seam of the line. I've been on many away team missions. That's something I want to keep in mind too. Like, as we talk about Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and Worf, like, this is a guy with a lot of fucking big name away team missions under his belt. This guy is a real value add to have here. Like,
yeah,
A+. Him, give me a little spackle there as to why he noticed this fucking thing. But like, I think that should have been Dax catching it. But yeah, like, this guy's fucking Enterprise away team mission stuff. Like, yeah, Riker always said, look at the seams, whatever. Anyways.
They find the holographic thing. They use a tricorder to fake having Herc DNA go in, and sure enough, Sword of Khaless is in there. Cool prop. Like the Sword of Khaless prop.
It looks like Beskar from The Mandalorian. This is not regular metal. There's a waved, I don't know if it's some
like
Spanish
Damascus steel, Valerian steel. That's a very common sort of way to sort of make something look special.
Can't stop looking at the texture on this thing, and this is the major problem with the rest of this episode for me. And should I do my big rewrite at the end, or should I do it now?
Do it now. There we go.
Everything that happens from this point forward is bonkers. These guys go so far off of their rocker, and it's one thing for Core, because he's this character we're not super familiar with. We have 7 years of Worf. We know this guy inside and out, and he strays so far from who he is at a core level. Yeah. When he's telling fucking Core to let go, knowing he's going to fall to his death, and all the other crazy talk he has, like, I believe that Kahless is talking. I mean, this is my destiny. Is there any part of Core or Worf or Duras's behavior through any of this that does not come off as batshit active mental illness?
I will say, Worf relating to Dax, his religious experience and Kahless speaking to him, does harken back to the very episode in which the Kahless clone comes into play. I think it was called A Rightful Heir, if I recall correctly, was the TNG episode where Kahless is, because he was on Borath, a planet that's been referenced in Deep Space Nine when he showed up on Way of the Warrior. He's gone back there as a religious Klingon retreat with the monks. He very much has this spiritual connection to his planet's spiritual beliefs and his people's spiritual beliefs. I completely believe that he has convinced himself, oh my God, I am King Arthur. I have found Excalibur. Maybe I am destined to do something that is greater than I thought my destiny was.
Sure.
I don't think that's crazy. But you're absolutely correct that the thing that the fucking giant turd in the punch bowl of this episode is when he essentially tells Core to kill himself and lies about it. And that's just not something Worf would do. And if you're going to do something like that, it has to be space madness, or you're damaging. And that's
what I'm getting to. Because right now, from this point forward, for the rest of the episode, I watch, I go, okay, that bath looks weird. Look at that wavy material there. Okay, so I'm going to jump to the end of the story here. The plot is the Sword of Khaless is forged out of a mythical material, and wouldn't you know it, it's radioactive or something that when Klingons touch it, they go fucking crazy. They get a bloodlust, there's a desire to conquer, and this thing has an innate charm that whoever's holding it, that's all other people look at. And Kahless is a product of having the sword that drove him to this Genghis Khan level of conquest that made everybody else suck his dick or get killed in the process and demand absolute dominance and submission over everybody else. And whether it's Duras touching it or Worf or Core, whoever has it goes nuts. And Klingons cannot be around this sword. It will not allow peace. It is a danger to everyone around it. And by the end, they must make the decision that this thing is too dangerous to the Klingon Empire. We must get rid of it.
Yes, I completely agree. That it would fix a lot of this.
It fixes every major fucking problem with this episode. And by the end, where they just go from literally Dax has to shoot Worf in the fucking back to keep him from killing Core with his bare hands. to them looking at it on the transporter pad like, oh, shucks, you sure we got to get rid of this thing? Yeah, okay. I mean, we could wild profits with this thing. I can get my family back into good grace. We're going to be our statue, whatever. We are going to unite the Klingons back into an alliance with the Federation so we can prepare for the Dominion threat. And instead, we're just willy-dilly, like, we're
not destined.
Ready. We're not destined. Get rid of it. I'm like, there was no space madness here. Like, and what a person to be like, pop the tricorn and be like, oh my God, guys. Turns out this thing is radioactive as fuck. What was the stuff from Enterprise that made Vulcans go crazy that they plated the hull in?
Chemosite. Or not chemosite. Or was that was the MacGuffin material from last week. It was something else. But yes, the space rocks that
something D, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's the stuff that T'Pol decided to snort like crack cocaine or whatever.
Right.
Right.
You cannot touch this. This is pure cocaine covered in acid, and it's just going to make this is great for a feudal society and a warlord to wield. This thing is poison. This is too much. This is not worth the risk to anyone else. And Duras and everybody else was seduced instantly. Even the paragon of justice and virtue, Worf, cannot protect against this thing.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% in agreement. I think all of the things, this episode would work great if it were space madness, because it would first solve for the out of character things that Worf does, and second, make it more of a tragedy of, once again, Worf's, moment to possibly like reach for this greater destiny that he believes he has been snatched away. But it's not his fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's just they've just uncovered that, like maybe Kahless was 1 in a trillion that was able to sort of control himself sufficiently while under the thrall of this material to be that Genghis Khan character, but like it's poisonous to the rest of the Klingon people, and we can't allow it to be around them. And we're just going to beam it into space, so no one will ever find it.
Or even if we give it to Kahless, he will lead the Klingon Empire back into bloodshed.
He could end up leading to a crusade against the Federation itself. And
this is incompatible with the way that we need to do business moving forward.
I liked Duras showing up and like being the fly in the ointment, and Kor like giving. It's a great moment when Kor's like, "You mean you didn't kill him?" Like, hold on, no, you don't understand. I might be your ideal Klingon, but I'm still a Klingon. You should have fucking killed him. That was stupid. That guy's just going to be a fucking problem for you forever. Dax having to settle the dispute between the two of them is something that could have worked too, right? Like, I stunned both of you, and then I'm just going to threaten Duras with killing him and say, like, you're just going to let us go. It's just, I'm tired of having to deal with all of this bullshit right now.
Again, Worf and Kor real talking each other. You're just a crusty old man who's a drunk in this, and you're a coward, and you're not a real Klingon. Like, all that stuff works great, and you can really get super mileage out of it when it's space madness, getting you to say the things you don't want to say. But like, these guys just pissy with each other and punching each other in the dick like that. Like, that's not hero character.
It's also some way Dax would have been immune to it, right?
I think Dax was acting crazy too as well. And I was waiting for Dax to be like, I am not like this. Why am I acting like this? Scan it like, oh my God, this thing is toxic. It's affecting me, but it's really affecting you guys. We can't keep this thing around. I just shot both of you. This is nuts.
Oh yeah, you could have really built that up at the end, instead it was still affecting her somewhat, and that's why she was happy to commit to violence and literally threaten Duras's life with a phaser to his chin to say, like, you're gonna let us go or I'm just pulling the trigger. I'm fucking tired. It's like, hell, it's why she's sleep deprived, because like the bloodlust is keeping her up. It's like affecting her differently, and it wears her patience down.
How do you miss that as the writing team in this?
There's actually some words about this in the Memory Alpha. I'll read them to you. This episode was somewhat unpopular with viewers when it first aired, something which disappointed the writer and producer. What particularly disappointed them was the fact that many viewers were unable to accept the notion that the Bat'leth itself had no actual power. So they actually were disappointed that everyone thought what we're thinking right now. Of like, this episode doesn't work unless this Bat'leth had some kind of effect on them, because otherwise they're acting like bitter, terrible psychotics for no reason except nothing that you've sufficiently built up to make sense, right? Okay, if you took the time over many episodes, many B plots, main core, however recurring character, and built up some sort of story where I can believe that they might give in to some of their darker impulses because of their desire to be the ones that save the Empire. Okay, but trying to speedrun it in one episode, you clown your characters. You make them. This is very Janeway-esque, where I'm going to write them into a position that doesn't make any fucking sense. Ramrod them, and they're bitching about how the sword doesn't have to have any magic. The concept of the sword that has power, blah blah blah. That's fine if you spend the time to make that work. You had Worf and Core meet in the fucking teaser. They don't really know each other until the first act. By the third act, they're trying to kill each other. If you're doing that, you gotta have this has got to have some sort of magical power. Otherwise, you're not doing your job as well.
Magical power and or biohazard risk.
Whatever.
I'm very happy to hear that, my major problem with this episode is not just something that is me, and that it was prevalent enough that it made it into the wiki. Because
when I was talking with the other Discord members when we were watching Starfleet Academy, we were like talking about like season 4 is really good and what the worst 3 episodes were, and I was like, this was I brought up at the time like Sword of Khaless I think is going to be on there because I remember that thing just not fucking working particularly well, and I feel very vindicated in that. Like this to me is more frustrating than Little Green Men by a lot. It's even more frustrating than Rejoined. Those episodes are, Rejoined is bad. I think I was a little more warm on Little Green Men than you, but this
Little Green Men could have never been good. It was just an asinine.
It was a comedy episode that like
concept from the start.
Yeah.
Like making
comedy
them
episode that did too much and kind of clowned the universe more than you wanted.
This is one of these situations where it's like this could have been cool as fuck.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of this that is good, like Core and like everything before them getting hands on the sword, perfectly serviceable if not good.
Yeah, like Core's desire to like, I think I should rule the Empire. Like that he's at that kind of point where because he's survived so much, he's seen so much that he's bitter, but he also kind of has a point to say like, I might be your best choice. The Empire could do far worse than me. And it's like, I see truth in that, right? Like I want more of that, not what you did. Ugh. Any case, next week we're on to better territory, and we'll be on better territory for a long time. What do we watch?
Season 4, episode 10, Our Man Bashir. There's Bashir in a tux. A transporter accident replaces the characters in Bashir's secret agent holosuite program with the physical forms of the station's senior staff. Boy, if there's ever a character that the writers of Star Trek like to surround with metaphorical doppelgangers of his friends,
it's Julian Bashir. This is the holodeck malfunction comedy episode you were looking for when we were talking about Little Green Men. It's fucking awesome. It's a Garrick Bashir episode.
All right, well then that's, how could it be?
Yeah,
bad.
It was such a good parody of James Bond. They almost got sued. Like they wanted to do this again and they couldn't because they got threatened by Eon Productions of like, don't you fucking dare ever do this shit ever again.
Very interesting.
Oh yeah. This is Bride of Chaotica level good times in my opinion. So
well, I'm due because these last 2 episodes have been actually where are we at here? Our Sword of Khaless crap, Little Green Men crap, and then how far
Starship
back do we have to go
was
for
good.
Rejoin? Okay, and then it was Rejoined, which I did not like.
Yeah, we had, of the first 9 episodes, we've had 3 clear downbeats and 6 good to great episodes. Fortunately, looking forward here, I don't think we've got a negative entry for another couple months. Like we're off to the races here for a while.
Thank God.
I think episode 21 is the next time where there's a real loser. So,
well, that's problems for episode 20, Peter, to have to worry about.
Indeed. All right. Thank you so much for listening to V'ger Please. We really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody that continues to engage. We got some new reviews on Spotify. I noticed. Thank you to those that threw that in. It always helps to see that stuff. If you're inclined, haven't done so before, wherever you listen to the show, like, subscribe, review, 5-star it, comment, whatever you can do. Big help. Thanks so much. See you next week.